You're listening to the Oneofus.net podcast network. All right, strap in, folks, because I think there's going to be a lot of snow-related puns following.
Only from you.
No, not only from me. I will say, though, there's a snowball's chance in hell if I ever go see this film again.
Hey!
But I'm bumped.
Yeah.
That was cold, Chris.
It left me frosty. What do you want to do? You know?
What, the movie didn't give you chills?
No.
I mean, it had Iceman in it and everything.
I know.
Come on, man.
That was such a misdirect, too. I thought, oh, Iceman, of course he's going to be the snowman, but he wasn't. In fact, he's barely in it, and you don't even know why he's in it.
And you don't care.
And I'm not sure if he's even entirely in it, because as near as I can tell, every time Val Kilmer's on screen, they dub in his voice, and I don't even know if it was him.
Badly.
Yeah, totally.
No, badly. Like, it didn't even match his mouth.
Well, it didn't match his gritted teeth. That would imply that his mouth was moving to match the words. It was just teeth.
Yeah, there was nothing working there.
I bet if you I guarantee you, if you walked up to the screenwriter, the three credited, mind you, credited, who knows how many people actually wrote this piece of junk. But if you asked anyone in the cast or crew, so, what's up with the snowman? And they're like, no idea. We don't know. It's just, that's the name of the book.
Sounded cool. Let's face it, if you're a serial killer, you need a hook.
It's like, look, listen, damn it, I am an artist and I have few materials. My medium is snow because that's literally all that I have.
There's not a lot of choices in Oslo, so it's got to be something.
Someone's kid probably did that snowman, and they were like, oh my god, it's adorable. Let's put that in our thriller. That's probably what happened.
Well, we are talking about the snowman. Now, here's the thing, why this is kind of shocking that, I mean, I think we can all agree this is one of the worst movies we've seen.
Absolutely. Yes. I could not stop laughing. It was so bad.
Yeah, but it's bizarre because you've got a pedigree for this thing attached that by all means screams, wow, this should be a really great film. You've got Thomas Alfredson, who directed Let the Right One In and Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. It's based on a book by Joe Nesbo, who's like one of those superstars of Scandinavian writers who wrote the book that the really amazing film in 2011, Headhunters, came out that was based on.
So good.
You've got Fassbender, Michael Fassbender, attached to this thing because, well, as we all know, Fassbender is just dying to be part of a successful franchise.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, you should be begging them to come back in and play Magneto whenever possible because that's all you got.
Yeah.
I mean, this was being talked about like this is going to be the next girl with a dragon tattoo thing where it's like, oh, this is going to be a big series following his detective, his, as you do with Scandinavian detective thrillers. He's existential, down in the dumps, total wreck of a person detective.
He might even be more of an alcoholic than I am.
Come on, don't talk crazy.
We've only found you passed out in a children's park once. This guy does it regularly.
It was a bad night.
Yeah, you get a multiple award-winning soundtrack guy here, Marco Beltrami. You have
an Oscar-winning editor.
Oscar-winning editor with Claire Simpson. Is that who it is?
No. Thelma Schoonmaker, who is Scorsese's. Who has been editing Scorsese's film? She cut Raging Bull.
Yeah, she's his.
I think she cut part of Jaws. Maybe no, I'm thinking of somebody else. But she cut anything that Scorsese ever did. But now that you look at it here on the screen, she was the sole credit as editor. But apparently on the internet, it lists another person. So maybe even Thelma Schoonmaker just threw up her hands and said, fuck it, I can't do anything else. Claire? Who's Claire? She serves the coffee. Just let her finish it.
And with the cast, like I said, with Fassbender, you got Rebecca Ferguson, Charlotte Gainsbourg, Val Kilmer, J.K. Simmons, Toby Jones, Chloe Savini, James Darcy. You're like, this is a solid cast. Yeah. This is a solid resume. Everything about this movie screams, this should be great.
Worst thing I've ever seen.
And it's so unbelievably bad. It's a mess. Now,
I mean, at first I was like, oh, wow, this is pretty heavy-handed. And then I was like, whoa, this is just terrible.
Yeah. What it is it's incoherent. And that's what's so frustrating because, yes, there's obviously a lot of talent involved. It had the potential to be really good. It's a beautiful looking film. Makes great use of the cinematography and the locations. Great cast. Jesus Christ.
What
happened with this screenplay?
Yeah, all right. So, like, the loosest possible way of describing the plot here, which is to say there's so many other things going on that have nothing to do with anything. Like, Michael Fassbender plays Harry Hole, who is like, this detective who's famous among the police because he's like he's like one of the best detectives, like homicide detectives ever. But as his boss at one point points out, he's like, I've got to work. Clearly, because he's a complete wreck in his personal life. And he's like, well, sorry, I would raise Oslo's murder rate if I could. It's Oslo. Ain't nobody killing nobody. It's too cold for that shit. But there is a killer who is, at least at first, as far as I know, just abducting moms. And as it goes along, we start to see more of what's going on there. But his trademark thing he leaves behind is a snowman.
Facing in at the house.
Yeah.
So important.
Eventually...
With coffee bean mouth.
Harry, along with...
and continuity-defying scarves.
Harry, along with Rebecca Ferguson's character, Katrine, who is a younger and very impressed with his career detective, end up sort of back-acidly teaming up together, following up on these various cases and starting to see there's a thread that ties them together. Meanwhile... For apropos of nothing, 9 years ago, Val Kilmer was a detective chasing a snowman killer.
You're not going to figure that out for a while.
It takes you about 20 minutes until you realize that, this is a flashback.
Yeah.
You think these are dual. There's no... you can't even tell it's a different year.
Timelines be had.
Yeah. It's like two investigations going on, and then you realize, this is actually a cold case. And he looks, it is a cold case. It's referred to that. He pulls up the case, reads it, then we cut to the Kilmer bit, and then when he puts the file down, I thought, that was just him imagining what he was reading in the file. That's telling us what happened in the past. Fuck you, movie. If you give me a flashback that's set at least a decade ago, you better make that clear.
And necessary to telling your story.
Yeah. It wasn't even necessary. Yeah, absolutely. They did not go to the Christopher Nolan nonlinear school of storytelling.
No, not at all. Like
did they go to any school of storytelling?
Probably not, no.
The storytelling was lacking. That is true. It did not tell the story. No, really. Very loose.
The whole point of that thing was just to say that, something the killer's going to do later to throw everyone off track is something that's happened before. And honestly, there's just no reason for us to know that. It's not really, who cares if it happens?
Well, and by the time that thing happens, it doesn't make that thing that happens more impactful.
Exactly.
You go... Okay, well then what was the point of all this bullshit with Val Kilmer then?
Because it sets up this other character and her relationship to that character.
But the funny thing was that afterwards you guys were like, wait, what? And I was like, there was a reason, blah, blah, blah. And
but
then but you guys are like, I totally didn't even get that.
Yeah, but because at
it's
the
so
end you're like,
confusing.
but why is that important that those things tied together?
In the end, it didn't even matter.
It didn't matter at all.
Yeah.
It could have just been completely cut out.
Yeah,
there is,
It's already out about the bad production experience on this movie. And that's why I have a hard time blaming everybody in this cast and crew, because they're such good people. But even the director, and the movie has not even been released yet, and he's already talking to the press, distancing himself from it.
Yeah, he's saying 15% of this script was never shot.
Yeah, and
because
it shows.
They rushed it so much.
Yeah,
putting it out. And this is a movie that Scorsese was attached to at one point
and then,
as a director.
Ridley Scott at one point, maybe?
Ridley Scott was involved in production at one point.
Yeah.
I think they talked to him about directing it. But there was a lot of people over the years who've been interested in making this film. I mean, once again, if you've seen Headhunters, which is truly
amazing.
worth going out of your way for, you see why anyone would want to grab another book by the same
According
writer.
to Thomason, there was a window of time where suddenly money just appeared. They're like, you can have the money, but you have to start shooting now.
Right, and literally go now, go now.
And then on the day we don't need this, we can cut this. We can solve this in post. No, we can just truncate that. And of course, we have a mess.
And that's the thing, is this whole movie is like a textbook definition of, we'll fix it in post.
Yeah.
There's so many little things.
Fix this
There's so many little things where it's like, supposedly key lines of dialogue that are repeatedly delivered off screen because they were badly ADRed into scenes where that information clearly wasn't there, but they had to string something together. And yeah, this thing is just a fucking
And
mess,
there's a lot
man.
of continuity errors too. Like at one scene,
where
where Mike, there's a scene near the end with the gun that just really cracks me up. Like, who has the gun? Oh wait,
that
and
whole
how did they get untied? Because he didn't untie them.
it was just
How were they not?
I mean, that whole sequence felt like, you know what? We've scheduled 8 days to shoot this. Can we do it in 2? Yeah, I guess
Sure,
if we just
sure, we can
kind of
make that
cut a
happen.
lot of stuff
the
out.
ending is just so stupid.
Well, that's the thing. It feels like that. This movie's 2 hours long, and it's pretty much 2 hours right on the dot. And it feels like right when they got to the 2 hour mark, they're like, "All right, movie's over.
Yeah.
Cuts credits."
Well, and then there's so many weird scenes. Like this one, I can talk about. So there's this scene where his ex-girlfriend shows up at his house, and they like dry hump for like 10 fucking minutes,
Felt like it. At least.
and then she gets mad and leaves.
Yeah, over something you're like,
Over
wait,
something
what?
that doesn't even make any sense why she would get mad
and
about
she
it.
gets up, leaves the room, and then gets mad.
Yeah.
And then it's like, the point of that is that, okay, I see why she got mad. I don't understand why she got up. She's like, we're dry humping. Excuse me, I have to...
Get
the
up
plot
now.
motivates me to get up for no good reason.
the whole
and walk
time-
away
Go
from
look
you.
to your medicine
Even
cabinet.
Fassbender
And then go
sitting on the
look through
floor
your
going,
medicine cabinet.
what just happened?
You have sleeping pills for my current boyfriend?
The fuck?
Why? You couldn't go to another doctor? Like, they hang out all the time in the movie. Like,
Yeah.
they're buddies.
There's a lot of things like that just doesn't come together. You're like, obviously there should have been the slide that says scene missing.
Every
You know?
scene involving Oscar winner J.K. Simmons.
Oh my God.
Went nowhere. His whole
except
plot
Oscar
nowhere.
winner J.K. Simmons with the terrible accent.
Yeah, but this is also one of those movies where it's like you have 3 or 4 nationalities, and they're like, yeah, look, nobody's trying. We're all, and I think that's what happened to Val Kilmer. I think he was the one guy who said, I'm going to try the Scandinavian accent.
And they're like, accent,
no,
and then
Val,
they just like
it was
overdid
bad.
because it was that
He's
bad.
like, fine, you don't like it, I'm just going to do it like this for fucking time. Are you happy? That's fine,
like I
because
said,
we've run out of time,
That
so
actually makes the most
we're gonna
sense
go with that
out of
take.
all of the
I would
reasons
totally
why
buy
we
that
were
theory.
wondering why they
I like
overdubbed
it.
his voice.
I
bet you
don't
that's
think they were
why.
happy, and I don't think they gave him time to do it right, and I think he was pissed and probably said, you know what, fuck it, this is it.
There was no time to do anything
Yeah, I
right.
feel like that wasn't even him doing the ADR. It
I
sounded
No,
so
that
little.
didn't even sound like him.
Yeah, it
at
doesn't
all.
sound like him at all.
It's just, and like you said, J.K. Simmons, whose whole storyline here, once again, you're just like, what does this have to do with fucking anything at all? And just, there's a gross sleaziness to it, but the rest of the movie doesn't really have that
And
same
there's
tone.
like nothing
because
that makes sense.
I
in
think this was
movie.
supposed to be not epic, but a larger story with a lot of subplots, with a lot of layers,
Red herrings.
and red herrings, and different things going on that could have been very cool. The problem is, obviously, even at 2 hours, it feels long, and I don't think it was cut to make it shorter. I think this is all they had to work with.
Yeah, I agree.
That makes
And,
sense.
and because they're lacking that connective tissue, the story, paradoxically, it drags. I think if there had been more, this movie would have had a better flow
that
to
makes
it.
a lot of sense because they did include a lot of scenes that were just not at all like furthering the plot
Yeah.
whatsoever.
And then
They
just
were
rush the payoff.
Yeah, just like stuff that would normally be left on the cutting room floors,
Yeah.
like the dry humping scene. I mean,
Like, what the hell?
it wasn't
Okay,
even
Charlotte will do
like
anything.
Michael
but come
Fassbender
on.
didn't even have his shirt off.
Yeah, she was in Nymphomaniac, so
I know.
That's true. She was a whore. They did
Oh, come on,
establish
Charlotte.
that.
Charlotte will do it. Come on. We just want to see it.
it's like, you're in Oslo. Why are you wearing a leather mini skirt everywhere
the time.
you go?
All the time. Except for that one shapeless, blue sweater dress she was wearing. I'm like, why do you put Charlotte Rampling in that? How dare you dress her up frumpy?
Gainsbourg.
Gainsbourg. I
She's
keep
different
calling her
Charlotte.
Rampling. Charlotte
It
Gainsbourg.
was just so strange.
Yeah.
And then his partner's storyline also, which was tied with the J.K. Simmons storyline.
Sort of.
Like, it
Yeah,
just...
loosely.
In a very arbitrary, because
didn't go
this is what
anywhere,
we're
though.
going to do now.
Yeah.
Don't
And
worry.
again, I
didn't
see
go
how it could
anywhere.
have.
It literally went 0 places.
Yeah,
and then
and-
all of a sudden, J.K. Simmons isn't even in the movie anymore.
Well, that's it. Yeah, he isn't in the movie
Yeah.
anymore. Rebecca Ferguson, once her storyline
No
reaches its
resolution.
conclusion, then she's just sort of carted away from the movie. Like it's just there's no
They're all like red shirt
conclusion to any of
ensigns.
these storylines. They
Toby
just stop.
Jones, Chloe
And you-
Savini, anybody could have played
Yeah,
that.
what-
Anyone
that-
could have played Toby Jones's part.
That's true.
Why
Yeah.
waste? I mean, I know they were complaining that they lost money, and I think they had the money to get this prestigious cast, and they're like, well, we have the money to pay everybody. That's the good news. The bad news is we don't have enough money to do anything else. So you have these great actors given nothing to do, where obviously many of their scenes were never even shot.
But keep going into your final thoughts.
Okay. Well, I think, but we can all say that this was not a very successful film. I went in with a lot of cautious optimism. I was hoping that it would be something good. I saw the potential. I saw what could have been a good movie, but unfortunately, it was not meant to be. I give this 3 out of 10 snowballs.
Lara?
Yeah, so I did not care for this film. It seems like there may not have been a very cohesive idea of what to do going in. And if you don't have a cohesive idea about what you're doing, you are not going to be able to execute a plan successfully. And this clearly is not successfully executed. Some really pretty snow shots. Mm-hmm. Some really nice
but that's Oslo. I can shoot that shit.
Some really nice things done there. Some really nice shots. There were some nice artistic shots that were thrown in for us just because I guess we needed to have something to look at sometime. Oh, look, it's artsy. And there are chickens. And it's white again.
There are chickens.
So, nice use of red in the train. I thought that was nice. Oh, wait, is that shame? Oh, is that blood? Oh, I like the light. It suddenly changed red, so that was nice. And then, so yeah, those are the
damning with faint praise here.
Those are my positive comments on this. Everyone was trying to act really hard, and I really, the plan did not go for me, and I would not see it again. And I really wish that there were some kind of mystery, MSC 3K review of this, or a 1-minute movie done by film students that showed you what this movie was in a minute. It could be hilarious, because I could not stop laughing during this movie. I'm so sorry that I did, but I couldn't help it. So anyhow, I give it a 3. Yeah, 3 holes in the ice.
Ian?
It's something I've been trying to kind of wrap my mind around, like the level of talent in this movie compared to like how much of a disaster this movie is. Like, science cannot measure the distance between those two things.
I know.
It's genuinely. I'm kind of shocked. Like I'm almost in awe of like how wide the divide is between those two things.
It's so sad
because like not only is this movie bad, not only is this movie just weird and incoherent. It just doesn't even function on like basic filmmaking things like establishing shots, simple, editing, like where people are spatially in relation to one another, how one scene transitions into the next, like who's saying what line of dialogue because we're all in one close-up of one person's face and they've ADR'd 3 other people's lines of dialogue off screen. So, and part of me almost wants to recommend this movie just in a so bad it's good category, but the stuff that would make it so bad it's good, like Val Kilmer's performance, like the weird what the fuck moments, like the Charlotte Gainsbourg. There's not enough of them, in this movie to really like sustain the full 2 hours that it goes. So, man, I would give it 2 unsuccessful dry humps out of 10.
Patience.
This is the worst movie I've ever seen. And I felt like, the actors are so good, and they actually do a good job with what they're given. Michael Fassbender was great in this film, and I agree with Lara. There's a lot of really amazing, shots, some really beautiful cinematography. That being said, this is a piece of trash, and I hated it. There's no sense of a plot, a storyline. It's very confusing. Things, obviously, we've talked about things that just don't make sense. So avoid at all costs. I give it 2 unexplained Chloe Savinis out of 10.
Right, literally, yeah. It's just such a mess. And I feel like you guys are even being too kind with your numbers here because ultimately, I feel like it makes a film even worse if there are little things like, oh, it's got some nice shots in it, and everything else is so utterly incompetent. It just makes it that much more insulting that no one could be bothered.
They had a really large budget.
Put the pieces together for this thing. Yeah, there's no reason this should be as totally egregiously terrible the way that it is. There's just no excuse for it. I feel like if anything, I blame the production companies.
Yeah.
if you were not going to find a way to go out and shoot the shit that needed to be shot to put this thing together correctly, you should have put this motherfucker on a shelf and let it gather dust.
This should not have been let out like this.
No, it should. I wouldn't have put this out in Redbox.
Yeah.
You know, this is one of those films, like, I can't remember the last time I saw a film with a general audience press screening where, like, they let people in where that audience was hating the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, those audiences, they love everything. I mean, it doesn't matter what people are always like, oh, but the audience liked it. They like everything.
It's free.
They don't care.
Tickets.
They're happy. They saw look, but things are moving on the screen. I'm happy.
It didn't.
No, they were miserable watching this movie.
Yeah,
We
and everyone
all
was
were.
freezing and coughing and snorting throughout. Like, what?
Yeah,
Like, seriously, did
it was like
everyone have
flu
the
season had
fucking flu?
begun.
Yeah, the movie was
I'm sick now. I watched this stupid film and now I'm going to be sick.
the movie was physically killing its audience.
All those shots of the cold, they
just
just
say we're all,
psychomatically
Let's
reacted
just
to
hope
it.
that they make a documentary making of, so, you know, like the disaster artist.
Lost in
or,
Oslo.
Yeah, the book about the making of this movie is going to be great.
It's going to be so good.
That dry humping scene is the high mark of dry humping scenes. It's like, let's hump. Oh, hi, Mark. It's like, wait, why did you stop? Why did you stop there?
There's just so many things that are just inexplicable. You're like, what the fuck just happened? Or why would you choose to do that? Just over and over, but not even in a fun way, in an aggravating way. Like Ian said, there's a couple things that are so bad it's laughable.
Yeah.
But this movie's long and fucking boring.
It is.
I cannot recommend it, even as a film to go see is so bad it's good, because it's not. It's just
I
fucking
don't recommend against
bad.
seeing this movie.
This movie is, I give it one mysteriously identified coffee bean out of 10. And I'll just end by saying this movie is just a big snow job on the audience.
Yay!
I had to get one last one.
Yeah, of course.
That pun was more entertaining than this entire movie, I promise you.
Oneofus.net has been your one-stop shop for all things geek for years. But there's a side to them many of you have never heard. The subscription side. Subscribe and listen to great podcasts like The Breakfast Pub, The Original Gentleman, and the Watch a Movie With Us series. Head on over to oneofus.net and don't forget your towel.